Somebody's going to have to buy all that debt because the private sector is not buying it. Foreigners are not buying it. Institutions are not buying it. You know who can buy it, though? An entity that can print all the money it wants. The Federal Reserve. That's who can do it. And I know some putts out there are saying, well, the governments can borrow and issue debt without causing inflation. It's only true if there are people that are dumb enough to buy the debt voluntarily. This 4.46 Treasury yield says, no, there's no more stupid people out there. If no one wants to buy it, which they increasingly don't, the 10-year Treasury went up 10 basis points today. The central bank will have to step in with its magical money printing tools and buy that debt. Because nobody else will. If nobody else does, we have the apocalypse. Because the United States Treasury fails. So, central bank's going to have to step in, make money printer go and save the day. You say, well, you say that they have to, but is there really anything that says that they have to? If they don't, it causes the apocalypse. You think the apocalypse is going to happen? I mean, if you are bearish and you think the central banks are not going to step in, you need to get yourself a bunker. Because the apocalypse will happen then. And also, think about this here. Let's suppose, apocalypse aside, that the crypto market, the bull run was over. You know what that means? That's the end of crypto. It's gone. It's never coming back then. Because if it can't be relied on to provide the asymmetric returns that is historically done, or even a fraction of them, who in the name of hell is ever going to invest in these things again? And some putz out there is going to say, maybe there's a sweet spot. Maybe governments can fund themselves without crowding out the private sector. No. See, that fantasy died somewhere between transitory inflation and soft landing because global debt to GDP is now 360%. I showed you that chart. That's the economic equivalent of taking out a second mortgage to buy scratch-off tickets. So the government will absolutely crowd out everything that isn't nailed down. Remember the pandemic. It was the year that we all collectively decided to crash the economy so that we can protect old and fat people by locking everyone in their homes, unless you're an Amazon delivery driver. And the government handed out money like Oprah handed out cars with stimulus checks and PPP loans and recovery packages. It was all funded by government debt. Who bought the debt back then? The central banks with their monopoly money. What's coming between now and the end of this year dwarfs that. You see, the COVID era was just the rehearsal. The 10,000X was just the test run. This is the real show. And central banks are likely going to have they're going to have to buy at least 50% of all the debt issued. At the very least, they'll have to buy at least 50%. Probably going to have to buy a lot more than that, but I think at least 50%. So they'll be printing money at levels that make 2020 look like a warm-up act. If you're not already stacking up on crypto because you don't think it's going to go up, you better be stacking up on canned goods and ammo because you must believe the apocalypse is coming. Because here's the deal. This treasury at 4.46, what that's telling you is that the private sector doesn't want to play anymore. The investment community, they don't want to play anymore. Their portfolios are riddled with so many paper losses, it looks like a confetti explosion in a funeral home. They're out. They're not funding this round, which means central banks are the last man standing. And guess what happens when you flood the economy with money to buy your own bonds while productivity stagnates, while demographics collapse, while birth rates go down, and while geopolitics melts down into Cold War fan fiction? Inflation. And not the 2% kind, no. The kind that's more like, what do you mean gas costs $20 a gallon kind? The kind that makes savings a joke and forces everyone into an asset just to survive. Forces everyone to invest their money just to survive. So here we are. It's standing at the edge of the global bond bubble the size of Jupiter, built entirely on IOUs, denial, and the vague hope that maybe this time reality won't notice. It always wins in the end. Always. So bringing it back to crypto, because you're probably wondering, what happens when all that printed money sloshes through the pipes of the global financial system again? When the Fed, the European Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, and the Bank of Japan all scream YOLO and hit the liquidity button simultaneously? The answer is simple. Everything goes up. Stocks, real estate, but crypto goes up more because it's tiny still. It's only a $3.6 trillion total market cap compared to the $100 trillion in stocks. It's basically going to be like a hand grenade in a hurricane. When capital floods the system, looking for yield, looking for momentum, looking for anything that isn't a piss shit bond, it's going to rush to the riskiest, most reflexive corners of the market. Stocks, tech, and crypto. Seen it happen before. That's where all the new money comes from that causes there to be more buy orders than sell orders. This is what causes the crypto market to have the blow off tops that it has. It had it in 2021 and in 2017 and even in 2013 it had it. This is what causes it. If you don't understand it by now, I can't make you understand it. I can't make it easier for you to understand it. You just don't have the IQ to understand it. You're just going to be doomed to be illiterate forever. This is why it happens or has happened every 4 years. It's the fourth year it hasn't happened yet because the amount of debt I showed you is larger this time around. It's going to take longer for it to cycle through because it's the debt cycle that causes this. It's the debt cycle. It doesn't follow a calendar. Crypto doesn't follow the calendar. It follows liquidity. So when the debt cycle turns, when interest rates are cut, when reserve requirements are cut, when QE comes back, that's when crypto wakes up. Not because it's the fourth year, but because the tide is rising and crypto floats the highest. Make no mistake, that tide will rise because this debt is just way too big. It's way too big for all these financial assets to ignore.